your windows. Lock your doors. Keep your loved ones near. Time is running out. It's here for fear.
Welcome to Ear for Fear. This is Donovan.
Hey, and I'm Rick.
And this is the podcast where we talk about scary movies or movies trying to be scary.
Today we're chatting about 2020's The Invisible Man. Before we jump in, let me give a quick synopsis of this movie. When Cecilia's abusive ex-boyfriend takes his own life and leaves her a large sum of money, she suspects his death was a hoax. As a series of coincidences turn lethal, Cecilia tries to prove that she is being tormented by someone nobody can see. So, neither of us had seen Invisible Man. I'd heard good things about it. Even Andrea had mentioned that she liked it. I think they went to the drive-in recently to watch it, and they liked it. So, and I heard some good things about it. Initial thoughts? Did you like it?
Yeah, I like this movie quite a bit. It's no secret that I'm a real sucker for movies that start off strong. This movie starts off strong, making you ask questions, making you wonder what's going on. And Elizabeth Moss is doing a really great job selling the anxiety and sort of the freaked outness of what would happen if she gets caught. So we're kind of clued in quite early on, kind of the stakes of how she feels about this situation that we don't actually have a clear picture of, but we can get the gist of it through just that opening scene. I quite like this movie a lot. Every character in this movie I like. I think every actor is doing a really great job. And I love the updated take on the Invisible Man concepts. And this movie is tense and fun and gripping basically the entire way through.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah, very, very, very intense. The suspense is really good in this. And it starts you off from the beginning. I mean, those first 5-10 minutes is, I mean, her leaving her, I guess, we find out that he's a very controlling, abusive boyfriend. We know he's rich. What is he again? He's like some sort of I don't know, some sort of like,
he's like a
entrepreneur, but he's like a tech guy, like he created something or something.
Yeah, he's like a tech developer, and specifically in optics.
Okay.
Right.
So we he has this humongous home on the ocean. I mean, it's very nice. This thing is kick-ass.
Well, it's like a castle. It's right, like it's backed against a cliffside. It's got a fence all around it that's like created out of like cement. I'm sure you finished up Better Call Saul not too long ago.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot like a cartel, like what
like
Lalo had. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
At the very least, this guy's got a fence that rivals that of like a cartel.
Yeah.
So good security, basically. So what I liked about this movie is it just kind of hits the floor, making you like from the get-go, making you feel helpless, which is kind of exactly what Elizabeth Moss's character Cecilia is in through basically the entire movie. She's kind of questioning reality, even though she has like a very firm idea, but she can't prove it that her husband is,
or boyfriend, I think. Are they married?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're in a committed relationship.
Yeah.
Or, it appears to be a committed relationship.
I think it's boyfriend, but yeah.
Whatever. She
her
thinks,
main squeeze.
no, it's definitely the other way around, but in like the worst manipulative way possible. So she thinks that Adrian, the boyfriend / husband, is controlling, or I'm sorry, not controlling, but is an invisible man, like, messing up her life in both sort of like physical and non-physical ways.
Yeah.
That's basically the plot of the movie. Basically, a woman is tortured throughout the entire thing while no one believes her. I don't think I can speak from the perspective of, a woman going through that kind of situation in the real world, but that commentary is there. As a white guy, I'm not going to be an authority on that subject. But I can say if you're looking at this movie from the perspective of a horror / thriller, then you've got like one of the best roller coasters that have come out in quite some time. And I was like kind of astonished. This feels like a high production movie, and it certainly is, but its budget was $7 million.
That's it?
$7 million. I don't know how that money was spent between like the cast, crew.
That's a small budget.
Yeah, that's like, especially with Elizabeth Moss in the.
Is this? I mean, because we know the Invisible Man is a Universal monster. Was it done? I mean, I'm going to assume it was done by Universal. That just seems a really small budget for that type of movie.
Universal produced it along with Blumhouse Productions, Nervous Tech, and Goldpost Pictures.
I mean, we know. Okay,
well, the original production did not have Elizabeth Moss starring, and I think it originally had like Johnny Depp starring, and this was part of the Dark Universe. Is that right?
Is that right?
Dark Universe.
Really?
Along with
Johnny Depp would be playing the boyfriend?
He was cast as the titular character, so he would have been the Invisible Man.
I wonder though that story probably would have been completely different.
It has to be different.
It had to have been. Like Johnny Depp wouldn't have been the villain. He would have just been some doctor who, like most of, the Invisible Man has been around since the 30s. And so,
exactly. So this was retooled after The Mummy with Tom Cruise just failed critically and commercially. So then it was retooled into this. And if you're going to retool something, keep it cheap.
Yes, $7 million that's nothing.
And
damn,
that was the right call. This is a great movie. So that's kind of the context behind this particular film and this particular retooling of this established franchise or iconography with the this particular monster, which he's not really a monster in this movie. The human as a person, that's a monster, but he's not like a monster in the traditional sense, like a werewolf or a vampire.
Yeah, because I mean, Universal, they created Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon. So they have those quote unquote monsters. The Invisible Man, I mean, it's a person who's invisible, which is interesting. I mean, when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, oh, really? They're doing this again? I don't know, man. I honestly just kind of lost interest immediately. But then I kept hearing some good things that they decided to take this story and change it up a bit, kind of like the movie with Kevin Bacon and Elizabeth Shue, A Hollow Man. Who was that directed by?
Paul Verhoeven.
He did Total Recall, RoboCop.
Starship Troopers. He's done a million movies.
Yeah, he's done some cool.
He's got quite a storied career. That guy's pretty wild.
Yeah, but I mean, there may have been another movie in between then, but that's the one I remember. And it's not really, I don't think that's Universal, but it's the general idea, you get this power of invisibility. And so most times people use it for, I guess, bad, right?
It seems that if someone was to become invisible, the only thing you're really doing is to perv out on people or mess with people. You don't really see invisibility as like a tool for good. You only ever see it as like a bad power. And I kind of feel bad for any sort of future superhero that gets invisibility, because it's like where you're just going to perv on someone. You're going to kill people and frame other people. I don't know. I just feel bad for like the invisibility as a superpower, because it's always trapped in like this negative aspect, and it gets a bad rap. Yeah, and I'm sure you could do cool stuff with it. There's a TV show on Amazon, I think called The Boys, based off a comic, and the one character in that show that can be turned invisible is also just like a giant douche. It's like no matter where you go, people with this power are just giant dicks, and I do feel bad for the superpower. Okay, but this movie starts off with a lot of questions. It starts off with a tense scene. Alfred Hitchcock kind of famously said that, You can get shocked by just like having a bomb go off, or you can get like tension by just having, revealing the bomb and then having the bomb being off screen, unaware to the characters, and draw out that explosion to come 5 minutes later. The explosion still happens, or does it? And this scene is a little bit different. Actually, no, it's exactly the same. We know the bomb is Adrian waking up, the husband in the bed.
Yeah.
And so we've got like this like 5+ minute scene of just that. We don't quite know what would happen if he wakes up, but we know it'd be bad. And that puts us, we feel pressured for Cecilia, this character we don't know, but has a goal. She seems to be like a person in distress. So we're rooting for her right off the bat.
Yeah.
She's smart, capable, methodical. She seems to, besides stumbling over a dog food bowl, she's kind of got everything worked out. So it's really easy to like Cecilia right off the bat, even though we don't quite know what she's fighting for. If she's fighting for freedom, that's usually something that most people can identify with, whether it's your home life, a friendship that you want to get out of, like a better relationship,
a job,
exactly. Like any number of things. That's like escaping from something we feel confined is very relatable.
Man. Yeah.
So I'm always going to be a sucker for well thought out, really tight openings. And we're getting a lot in like the first 5 to 10 minutes. This opening scene ends with Cecilia being picked up by her sister Emily in a car, Adrian catching up to them, smashing through the window to try to stop her, him cutting his hand, her dropping a bottle of pills, which we learn later to be diazepam, which might be Pam, not no R, which might be birth control. Is that right?
Maybe. I know later on in the movie that they talk about she was taking something to prevent her from getting pregnant because she did not want to have a child with this guy.
Wikipedia says it produces a calming effect, so maybe it helps with anxiety or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So he picks that up with his bloody hand. That's important for later. But she gets away, and then we cut to 2 weeks later, and she's hanging out with her, or she's rooming with Emily's friend, who's a cop, and his daughter's in the house. These characters' names are James and Sydney.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
And she's just kind of adjusting to life without this dominating presence that was her manipulative, abusive husband/boyfriend. And this is where the movie starts.
Yeah.
It's a great opening.
It's a really good opening. Yeah. It was very tense. I'm rooting for her to get away. Not sure why, other than the fact that, that more than likely this guy's an asshole, but we don't know the full story yet. We do when she's leaving, see the glimpse of that. This comes into play later. It's some sort of, I don't know, some sort of machine. I don't know.
We see like the same thing like the early Iron Man suits were hanging out in. Like there's like a harness type thing, but there's nothing there. It's like whatever was there was missing. It
was important though because they really focused on it. So we're like, okay, this is probably going to come into play later.
And it's behind like a locked glass container door thing.
Yeah, This guy would be your like like as Tony Stark is in the Marvel universe. Iron Man. Does good but has a shit ton of money, is brilliant. This guy's very similar, has a ton of money, is brilliant, but he's just a controlling asshole.
Sure.
He's just basically later on in the movie, she says he's a sociopath, so.
Yeah. And what's interesting is we only ever really see that in a definitive way through Cecilia. So we're actually not even sure if she's telling the truth. She might be an unreliable narrator. We find out that there's enough evidence against Adrian to believe her. And I think I do believe Elizabeth Moss's character in this movie. There's just too many stuff that happens that sort of tip the hand in that regard. So she's living with James and Sydney.
Yeah. So he's I don't know, single dad. We don't know about the mom. Single dad. Your regular neighborhood. 1-story house just in regular suburbia.
It's a nice house. James is a handyman. He's got a shitty ladder, but he's still painted and doing work around the house. Sydney, we don't really see much of her right now, but we're about to in a couple minutes. Um, Emily, the sister, comes back to visit. And then, Cecilia's like, oh, dude, you're not supposed to do this. He can track you and find me. What are you doing here? And then she reveals that Adrian has apparently committed suicide. So he's out of the picture. That's awesome. There's no more movie, but there's still like 2 more hours.
Yes, that. But it never seemed convincing. Like she was never convinced that he was in fact dead.
And
she's just very skeptical of that. Like, I don't know about that.
And this is where like you as a viewer would be like, well, is Cecilia delusional? We saw her take medication earlier. Does she have some sort of disorder that would make her, believe in things that aren't happening? So the movie kind of before it pushes evidence against that is kind of opening up the question, well, how reliable is Cecilia as a narrator? So it's in doubt. And to be fair, as the movie goes along, from an outsider's perspective, it is wild the thing she's coming up with.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if this, like we were talking about, if this wasn't called The Invisible Man, and we kind of think, okay, well, he's going to be invisible at some point, then yeah, this is some crazy batshit. Like, yeah, really, these things are happening. We're not going to believe any of this,
Well, yeah, it's crazy. It'd be like saying, hey, there's faster than light travel. Turning invisible is an insane prospect. You can't do that. But you're saying it's being done, and it's being done by your ex-boyfriend just to torture you.
Yeah.
It's pretty silly. Like I wouldn't believe it if I heard it. So anyway, she doesn't believe that he's dead. But seemingly to everyone else, the problem is solved. So what happens next?
Well, there's the reading of his, well, really more so the finality of his estate when it comes to Cecilia. So Emily and Cecilia go to where his brother Tom is. I'm going to assume this is his office to finalize the estate, which they find out Cecilia is going to get $5 million.
Is this where Cecilia also says that she does not believe that he's actually dead?
No, that's later on.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, because she knows him so well and knows the type of person he is, she doesn't believe he's dead. I don't get that impression at all. There's like one glimpse, and that's not long after she gets this $5 million where, she gives Sydney, basically opens her up an account for her college fund, buys James a new ladder because his old ladder is just crap and falling apart. There's like a glimpse for a second. I think she may buy, may go a little shopping and buy some clothes, but I don't know if she ever really truly believes he's dead. If you're just given $5 million, I don't know. I probably would go out and spend some money and just kind of forget about everything else for a little bit. But then, I think reality starts to sit in, and like, I know this guy too well. There's no way in hell he would kill himself. That's just not him, But I think part of his will, there was a stipulation that if she should, I don't know, get into trouble, hurt someone, that it voids the estate or the $5 million, something like that. That'll come into play later.
Right. So there's two things being set up here. One, we're getting to know James and Sydney, the father and daughter that she's rooming with. I like them right off the bats. Movies kind of sometimes have the habit of playing this hand too hard and make it seem cheesy and forced. This movie does a great job, probably driven mostly by the performance of these actors. It's really great and it seems natural. I was laughing, which doesn't happen too much when I'm being like quote unquote force fed scenes like this. But I really like James. I like Sydney. They seem to be like a cool father-daughter. And then Elizabeth Moss or Cecilia is doing like her best because she knows this is their, in a way, and they would probably never say this, putting them out by having like this insane situation thrusted upon them, but they're helping anyway. They're good people.
Yeah.
And so, but after the couple of weeks have passed, they like each other. It seems that it doesn't feel like it seems like they just want to help each other out, because they're good people.
Yeah.
And I like them. And the movie does a really good job at making you like them.
I do like their characters. There were a couple scenes here and there, a couple lines I kind of felt like it was a little over the top, like goofiness. That they're trying to make us like these characters too much, but maybe that was probably done intentionally because we care about them so much at some point, and we know that there could be some harm to them because they are now part of her universe here,
Exactly. So that's exactly my point. There are stakes being set up. She cares about these people. Any damage to either their person or her relationship with them would be devastating to her. And we know that her money is stipulated on her not having any sort of crimes in her name, or not being charged with any crime.
Yeah.
So if that happens, well, now Sydney can't go to her college of choice, which is like a fashion school named Parsons, I think. So there's stakes here. And because Cecilia is ostensibly a good person, this would suck. And because we like these characters, me as a viewer, the movie audience, well, I would hate that. So the movie's doing a really good job at setting up these states that are just beyond physical. This person could die, Elizabeth Moss could die, etc. So the movie's doing great. The more stakes you can add into a movie that you care about, the better it is. And this is a great example of that. So the next bit is we start getting some funky things happening in the house.
Yeah.
They celebrate because she provides a better ladder to James. She provides a bank account to Sydney so she can pay for the college. These are great gifts. Obviously, one is more expensive than the other, but the thought is what counts. And then they celebrate with champagne, and they wake up a little hungover. James goes off to work. Sydney is in bed, and the scene is set up so Cecilia is cooking breakfast at a stovetop using a knife or whatever.
Yeah.
She goes to wake up Sydney in her bedroom, and this is where we get our first taste of the Invisible Man, or just at least some freaky stuff happening. And so, there is a question very early on in this film where Cecilia is an unreliable narrator because we're seeing everything through her perspective. In this scene, Cecilia is not in frame. So we're not actually seeing this scene from her perspective. We're seeing it from the objective viewpoint of the camera. And typically when a filmmaker is being honest and not doing like cheap tricks, this means that we can trust anything we're seeing because it's not through the lens of another character. Mm-hmm. And what we see is the knife that she was using to cut mushrooms sort of fall off the counter like it was being pulled away. We don't see a hand. We don't hear it drop. And then we see the stove that was alight go all the way to the max setting, which basically is about to start a fire, which it does. And it could start a grease fire, but luckily Sydney was quick thinking and puts it out. That's the scene. Nothing else crazy happens. And then we get like a cute little joke saying, hey, can we salvage this burnt stuff from Cece? So at this point, if you had any sort of doubts, and you might still have doubt that Cecilia is kind of making all this stuff up, this scene right here provides validity for all of her future arguments, that even her wild tales that pop up later, we kind of already all have the evidence we need. We know the ex-boyfriend / husband is a tech genius. We know he works in optics. We know the movie is called The Invisible Man. And we've saw some objectively weird stuff that happens outside of Cecilia's frame. So this is the movie tipping its hand that this is all the evidence you need to sort of believe her. Now, the things she says later on in the movie are still crazy, but I think if you just focus on this one scene here, you can kind of believe Cecilia throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, I mean, from as a character within the movie, it's crazy. From an objective viewer, that us, the audience, absolutely. This is all believable. This all, but yeah, I mean, she.
Okay.
Stuff starts happening, and it's it's she can explain it and she can believe it, but it's hard to convince any of these people that this stuff is happening. And that's why we start getting little things, and it's Adrian's way of.
They're not even little, dude. I mean, Emily gets an email from quote unquote Cecilia.
That's later on. Now they get, no, hold on. That's a little later. Because we got the bedroom scene where the blanket gets pulled off, her missing portfolio pieces, because we find out that she's an architect. She goes to a job interview. The whole portfolio, all her pieces are gone. So that's quite embarrassing because she just had it. So he starts little, and then he just makes it bigger, and it's almost to you know, to either is she going crazy? You know, I'm gonna do these little things. Is she losing it? Does she think she's losing it? Or it's just to create enough doubt in all of the people that surround her sister and Sydney and James. Is she losing it herself? Can we believe anything she says? And so it's little things, you know, and then of course, yes, it gets drastic. But you know, the scene in the bedroom where the blanket is, it looks like her and Sydney are sharing a bed. The comforter is pulled off. It's on the ground. She thinks someone's sitting in the chair. She throws the blanket, you know. You and I were talking, you know, we thought there would be a person there, but I kind of felt he wasn't going to tip his hand too quick. And so that made sense to me, you know. So just those little things. She goes to the job interview. Seems like it's a very prestigious architectural firm. No portfolio. How embarrassing is that? That's embarrassing. You know, I've been to interviews where I brought my portfolio. I check it a million times before I leave, but you know, she just assumed it was okay. She feels embarrassed. She faints, right? She passes out. They end up in the hospital. Doctors tells her that she's been taking these pills, but she doesn't have those pills. Those pills were dropped when she escaped from Adrian. Right. So that's kind of interesting, you know, not to mention some other news that they wanted to tell her, but she kind of blinked out at that point where she saw the bottle of pills on the bathroom sink, and she knew it wasn't there when she hopped into the shower. So of course, all these things are starting to add up, you know?
Right. So the movie and for the world around her is making her seem very unreliable. When you have so much information that's kind of conflicting with what is quote unquote happening for everyone else, you're deemed a, you know, like a quote unquote crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
So people tend to not believe you with any other information you try to convey.
Yeah.
So, you know, people aren't believing Cecilia. They just want to help her, but it's hard to help someone who's so delusional. And so Adrian, if we were to believe Cecilia, has done a wonderful job doing that.
Yes.
He has royally screwed over her life. And then his next trick is emailing Emily a very nasty email saying that she wished that Emily had died instead of Adrian, and that she finds her suffocating, and that she basically doesn't want anything to do with her sister anymore. Emily doesn't believe that Cecilia did not write that email.
Yeah.
Adrian did it. Well, that's a tall tale. He's dead.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason for me to believe he's not dead. Even earlier, in an earlier scene, when they meet with Tom again, and
James is with her. Yeah.
Right. And Cece is saying, well, this is what I think is happening. So just tell me that. Give me the truth, please.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. And then he shows her like police photos almost of like Adrian's like arm slit open.
Was it
blood everywhere?
Slits?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I almost thought it was maybe like a gunshot or something. I just know it was on like a bed with sheets and stuff. So yeah. I mean, because she knows. And she thinks Tom knows, which is the brother, because you know he's basically Adrian's bitch.
Dude, stop saying bitch. Like he's the lapdog, right? Like,
well, isn't that a bitch?
Yeah, but that sounds so terrible. Like he's the lapdog, you know. Like he listens to his beck and call. Adrian is super manipulative in a way. Everyone
sociopath
is supposed to be his quote unquote bitch, right?
He controls. I think even Tom says that he. I forget the line, but he says he knows how to. He knows how to get into people's heads. That's what he does.
Yes.
He's good. He's very good at that. You know, very very manipulative. So.
And it doesn't seem that I know they're siblings, but there's like a never mind. I was just saying I was trying to remember, but I can't remember it.
Yeah.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but they're brothers. So let's just roll with it, right? They're kind of the same person. They just one is a super genius tech billionaire, right? And then the other one is an attorney, basically.
Is he an attorney?
I don't know.
I don't know. We know he's executor of the state. I guess he could be an attorney. He's got the fancy briefcase and all those fancy pins. when you have a briefcase and fancy pens, that makes you an attorney right off the bat.
I mean, I don't have a briefcase, but I do have fancy pens, so I'm halfway to being a lawyer.
Dude, at Screw Law School, all you need is just a briefcase. I'll get you one.
Sweet.
And you can start practicing law. We can start calling you Saul.
There we go.
So James goes with her. Of course, he's looking at her like, yeah, okay, but she kind of knows that Tom knows something, but he's of course not going to admit it, And then of course we start. Yeah, we got that email. What did we get? Oh, didn't we get the scene with where Sydney comes into the room and I think Cecilia's on the ground and of course she's upset and she's like, hey, let's have like a girls night. And then of course Adrian, Mr. Invisible punches Sydney and Sydney thinks it was Cecilia. So,
which is pretty crazy to me because like they're both like 3 feet away. So how did Sydney think she hit her? Well, I mean, I know it's like, well, who else was in the room?
Exactly.
But still, it's like, how do you explain? Like, she doesn't have that big of a reach. She's like 5 feet tall. So that happens. James rushes Sydney out, and now she's alone in the room, or I'm sorry, in the house by herself.
Yeah.
And then she starts investigating, and she goes up into the attic after she calls the phone. He left the phone on vibrate for whatever reason when he's trying to be sneaky up in the attic. There's just no way he could have expected her to call. So it's not like he's doing some super secret mind games. He just might be an idiot or just a cool scene in the movie. So that happens. She goes into the attic, finds the knife that was taken earlier off from the counter, finds the photos on his phone that were taken of them while they were asleep, Sydney and Cece.
Yeah.
And then she gets a text message saying surprise. And then she turns around, there's nothing there. And then she goes back to the attic entrance and then pours paint down.
Yeah.
And then we see sort of like a face with a lot of like round recesses in it. So it doesn't look human. But something's there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and then she kind of gets into a kerfuffle with this invisible man.
I love it.
So that happens and it's kind of crazy. And then she runs from the home and just kind of somehow gets a lift really fast.
I know.
And makes her way to Adrian's house.
What was interesting is the house was located at Stinson Beach, which is a beach near the Bay Area.
Yeah, this movie takes place in San Francisco.
Yeah, because I remember seeing the bridge, but I've been to Stinson Beach. I don't know if I ever told you this story, but I went to Stinson Beach when I was a kid, 8 or 9, with my dad and a couple friends to go fishing. And Stinson Beach used to be a nude beach. At least it was back then. And that was interesting when you're 8 or 9 and you're seeing a bunch of naked people on a beach and they're playing Frisbee and volleyball and all these other things.
And half of them are old guys.
And half of them are old guys. And
sure.
Yeah, that was weird for me. That was a weird experience for me. Anyways, I thought about that when they were talking about that. So
yeah, well, speaking about traumatic experiences, we go from that scene into the house where she investigates. She says, hey, lift guy, I might be 2 minutes. I'm going to be 20 minutes. Can you just sit here?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm not going to find any other fare over here. So sure. So she goes inside and she finds the invisible suit behind that locked door. She puts in her, the first day they met with, her and Adrian.
Yeah.
That opens it up. And then, she slowly uncovers that there is an invisible sort of like suit that you can put on and turn invisible. And, so that means Adrian is not injecting a serum into him, changing a genetic code. He's just putting on like a very high-tech suit.
Yes.
Which is like reasonably believable, especially in this day and age, especially after like the Marvel movies, like all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Like there's enough like audience belief here to be like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense and it would totally work.
Yep. Especially for whatever he does with optics and everything. And that makes total sense.
You're also in San Francisco where all the best stuff happens. So there you go.
Yep.
So she finds the suit. No one is there, she thinks. She thinks someone is there now. I forget why. Oh, yeah, because the dog Zeus was barking.
Yeah.
So she quickly hides the suit. So the guy doesn't like fully know that she found out about it. But of course, basically, she's just hiding the second suit, right? She's just hiding it.
Yeah.
And that'll come into play later.
Yeah.
And then she runs out after having a brief altercation. Doesn't really happen. Not much happens there.
Yeah.
And then she wants to tell someone what she found out. On her Lyft ride, she calls up her sister to meet her at a restaurant, and they do. And this is where the very nasty back half of this movie happens. Everything up until now has been pretty tame, and this is where the movie starts to get pretty depressing.
This is where these things that he's doing becomes very extreme. You know, he started out small, and this next scene is crazy.
So, you know, she wants to tell her sister about the invisibility suit. She has proof now. So let's go and look at the proof. Well, as she's telling her that, a knife is floating by Cece's head, and Emily sees it before she has any time to register what's going on. A very quick swiping motion, and the knife cuts Emily's neck, and she bleeds out and dies. All in front of everybody at the restaurant. And then Adrian, the Invisible Man, puts it. Well, to be fair, we don't actually know it's Adrian. We assume it's Adrian.
Yeah.
But Adrian is supposed to be dead. Let's just say it's Adrian for now. Puts the knife into her hand. And now she is holding up a hand by her dead sister who's bled out.
Sure.
And this is where the movie is pretty reprehensible for me. It's a very effective scene. It's a really great scene. But man, do I just feel so bad for everyone. I feel bad for Emily. I feel bad for Cece.
Yes.
The truth was there. She had it, and it was taken away from her. So now we've had all these stakes that the movie has slowly risen up over the movie. Her relationship with her sister, her relationship with James and Sydney, the monetary gain that she had in the trust. Yep. It's all gone now.
It's all gone.
She has committed murder in the eyes of the public. She is insane. She's a murderer. On top of everything else that happened with all these other characters, she has nothing now.
Yeah.
And then she is incarcerated, sent to a mental hospital, and then she's informed she is pregnant. And this is where the movie takes another turn. So we get a meeting with Tom, and Tom, the lawyer guy, the brother, he says, okay, this is the position you're in, and these are your two options. But let's lower our voices. Here's a third option. All that crazy shit you were spouting out earlier in my office where I said it wasn't true, that actually is true. So if you just agree to have the baby, we can return to normalcy. We'll, don't worry about the stories. We'll have to, the urine will have to spin for, bringing Adrian back to life. These murders you've committed. We're rich. We're rich and white. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So that happens. She says, fuck you, throws his papers off the table, and steals very sneakily a pen, a fountain pen. And if you know a fountain pen, these typically, fountain pens seem like really sharp, but most of the time they have like a little round nib. Yeah. So could you probably cut yourself with that? Yeah, but it would take it'd be like cutting yourself with a blunt knife. Yeah, you'd have to hit yourself really hard.
Yeah.
But here's a weapon for her or whatever that she can use later on in the movie. And so that's the scene. Good stuff, right, Dad?
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Not to mention her little speech where she puts Tom down about how he's spineless and does everything his brother. He's just basically like a puppet, right?
And like a lesser version of her brother. Like she's really putting salt on him. It's really great.
Yeah, that's a good little scene there. But yeah.
Yeah, and despite all this, Cecilia is still really strong. And she's kind of rising to the occasion and really Walter Whiting all this stuff. She's just finding a solution for every new problem that comes to her. She's also thinking a couple steps ahead. What is she doing with that fountain pen? We don't know.
At first I wasn't sure. I thought maybe she's going to use it. Who knows? These movies, they use some small little object to pick a lock. But I'm like, well, I don't think she's locked into I know she's locked in the room, but I don't think she's handcuffed or anything. So,
well, if I remember in Terminator 2,
yes,
doesn't she do that with some random nurse though? And I felt really bad for that nurse because he didn't deserve that.
Yeah. Luckily
it doesn't happen in this movie. Elizabeth Moss is a sane person. Yeah. Go figure. So she doesn't actually hurt anyone that doesn't deserve to be hurt. So she very cleverly hides the pen, MacGyver style, using some glue, the pen, and sort of hiding it above.
It almost looked like gum or something that was stuck to it or something like that. Yeah.
It was like some weird epoxy or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. She sticks it in the little closet and
she throughout this entire movie, the camera's always lingered on empty spaces. And then Cecilia's eyes has always kind of been drawn to where the camera is. And that's, maybe he's there. We don't know he's there, but he could be there. And so that happens a lot while she's in this hospital. And so, she gets inspected by the nurse. The nurse says, okay, everything is good. He leaves the room, locks the door. She's alone.
Yeah. Lights. I think lights out. I'm going to go to sleep, whatever else.
She grabs a pen. I forget if she turns on the shower or not, but she's in the shower.
She turns on the shower.
Fully clothed or whatever.
Yeah.
This is all for effect, right?
Yeah.
So she says, I'm not going to follow your plan or whatever. Grabs the pen.
Yeah.
Takes off the cap, stabs it in her arm, pulls down. With the intention to commit suicide. You're not going to have the baby and you're not going to have me. All your power is gone.
Yep.
And so that, she's playing a great hand here. You have to call whatever, or you have to raise. And so he grabs her arm to stop, the further damage. And now she's got him. So she takes the pen, starts stabbing him.
Just jabbing him. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet. She's one-upping this genius guy with an invisible suit. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
And it actually malfunctions the suit. So now he's like coming in and out of reality almost.
Yeah.
He's not obviously leaving the universe.
Like a glitch. Like there's like a glitch in something. So it's like it glitches and it's, hey, you can see part of him. And then it glitches again and then he's invisible. And so, yeah.
Yeah. And then we get one of the coolest like pseudo action scenes in the last few movies I've seen. It's really cool. You basically have like 10 clueless guards, not sure, like coming in one by one, not sure what's happening to the previous guards who are just lying on the floor, and there's no one there besides, a woman on the ground like 30 feet away. And so he's slowly dispatching all these guys. He probably only kills like one or two, but he just takes all on all of them.
Yeah.
And it's just the fact that sight is taken away from these guys is all it needs, or he needs to sort of take all of them out.
You're helpless, man. If you can't see something, I mean, what shit?
And he's like popping in and out. He's like shooting, the gun is floating. He's shooting people. He's hitting people. Honestly, if this was like a superhero, I'd be like, yeah, this is really cool. But he's the bad guy. So I just want him to get shot. I just want one of these guys to shoot him, like when he pops into existence, and they just trust their instincts.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but I mean, at least what we're seeing at this point is that, there's some validation that she isn't crazy, because some of these guards or police officers are seeing these floating objects and glitching in and out. And look, I saw a figure, but then it disappeared. So there's justification there.
And if the movie you thought was giving you a counter argument to that very first scene in the kitchen, here is that second counter argument saying, why the fuck wouldn't you believe her? We already told you what was going on. And this is that scene.
Yeah.
So we know that for a fact, she is right on the money somehow with everything. It is a tall tale. And to think that he had an invisibility suit is kind of crazy, but her intuition was right on the money. The movie never actually explains if she saw him working on an invisibility suit. We assume no. Otherwise, she would just no. But it seems like she's taking a wild guess based on his previous work.
Yeah, I think she says early on in the movie to Tom, look, we know what he does. He's capable of creating this. He's a damn genius, so this is possible. It's all plausible, at least in her eyes, Now all of a sudden these things are happening, and okay, it's a little more believable now,
So she takes a gun. She tries to follow him, shoot him. She's missing all of it. Look, if you have an invisible guy, you have to be in water at some point. How else are you going to see him in a cool way where he's still invisible, but you can kind of like quote unquote see him, right? You got smoke, you got water. So here's our water bit. So we're in the rain. She's trying to fight him. She can't get him. He always has the upper hand on her because, hey, turns out humans really like to see stuff before they shoot. So she just never has a good shot. And then he basically gets the upper hand, says, hey, look, you got my baby. I'm not going to obviously kill you because I need that. So I'm just going to hurt what you care about instead. Sydney and James were still alive. Well, I'm going to kill Sydney. Sorry, dude, as you brought this on yourself. Classic like manipulator, abuser behavior. So he drives down there. She's trying to call James. She gets in contact with him saying, hey, like, I know I'm in a mental hospital for committing murder. Don't worry about that for now. Your daughter's in danger. Just trust me.
Get your ass over there.
So we got 3 people all going to the same spot where Sydney is sort of locked up in the house by herself. And then we get a pretty brutal scene where Sydney actually gets the pepper spray type thing.
Is it pepper spray or mace? One of the two.
I think it's mace.
Is it mace? Okay.
So she does that, gets him, knocks him down. And then she's like freaking out because like there is an invisible guy in here. And then James pops in at the same time. And then he gets beat up by the invisible guy.
Yeah, because I think, isn't Adrian choking her out at this time? Like when James comes in, I think she's being choked or something.
Mhm.
And so James sees it and then he's like, what the hell? And then he gets his ass whooped.
Yep. And this guy's huge. This guy's like Terry Crews level huge.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
So like, he can take himself in a fight, but invisible guy can't do anything about something he can't see.
Yeah.
So he basically is almost dead. And then Cecilia pops up. She's got her gun. Says, "Hey, get down."
Oh
blah,
no,
blah,
she's
blah.
got
the fire extinguisher.
Yeah,
Hey,
the
which is something we saw earlier in the movie.
Which is
Checks off Chekhov's gun. We'll check that off. So she does that so she can see him, shoots him, and then this guy's dead. I don't know why you have invisibility suit without body armor, but it can't stop bullets. It can only stop, it doesn't stop light. It has light go through it. Well,
Yeah.
bullets also go through it. So this guy's dead.
Could have been as simple as this was version 1 and version 2 had the
Had the Velcro underneath.
Had the Velcro underneath.
Well,
to
not
stop
Velcro.
bullets. The Teflon or whatever. That bulletproof vest type of thing.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah,
into that.
this was version 1, man. He was still working on the next version, so you gotta run the tests and tweaks and stuff. So
She takes off the mask, and it is not Adrian. It is Tom. Oh well, I guess that means Tom.
you knew this right at this point.
Tom was the one behind all this stuff. But why? Well,
Yeah.
okay. So it turns out Adrian didn't commit suicide. He was locked up in the house the entire time.
Yeah, convenient.
Do you believe that? Well, let's continue on with the movie. And then, there's enough evidence here between all the stuff that happened in the hospital, between the dead body in James's house with the invisibility suit, that's, I guess Cece was telling the truth. So no murder. You're good. James, Sydney, we're okay. You were telling the truth. Emily, well, you're still dead. But now the only thing sort of like loose end left in the movie is sort of having Adrian confess that he actually did it, because Cece's still convinced that Adrian was the mastermind behind all this.
Yeah, she's trying to convince James, because James being a police officer, it's like, look, just trust me. I know this guy,
And he, like, enough crazy stuff has happened. Like, why not go on the limb to help out his friend?
Yeah. It's not going to hurt anything.
So that's what we get. Elizabeth Moss's, I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep saying her name. I just
Cecilia.
Cecilia goes to Adrian. They go out for like, it's like a dinner.
At at the big house.
Yeah, you can see Adrian as being like the perfect first date, basically. He's got a bunch of different food. He's got like a feast here.
Yeah.
Fancy house.
Yep.
Very handsome. He's got everything. Obviously, they've been here before. Cecilia know that this guy's a monster. She just needs to get him to admit it. So she tries to get him to admit it. He is steadfast and does not do that.
Yeah, he sticks to it. I really kind of thought he was gonna. I thought he would like break down and finally say it, but that's not.
He's too smart for that.
He's too smart. That's a social. There's. He's not gonna cave in and do that. That's not who he is.
It's also like the information game. Having her doubt it is far more powerful than admitting it.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows he's being taped or wired, but at the very least, like knowing something for sure that someone else does not know for sure is a huge power move. So of course he would never ever tell her unless, he had a very specific reason to tell her. And that's not this one, or at least it's not here. There's not an opportune time for him to tell him. So she's like, well, she kind of breaks down, says, "Hey, can I have a minute?" Goes to the bathroom.
I got to freshen up.
And then Adrian just kind of chills there. And
you can tell he's kind of getting irritated because I think he looks at his watch like, damn, how long does she take to freshen up?
Mm-hmm. And so we know that she hid an invisibility suit in the bedroom closet. And then, supposedly Adrian's arm kind of jerks up with a knife and cuts his own throat. What happened here? Who's to know?
Right.
Just ... this. Cecilia comes out, discovers a gruesome scene. He's bleeding out and dying.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
and plays it out quite well. Picks up the phone, calls 911. My boyfriend or whatever has tried to commit suicide. There's a camera in this dining area.
So with a huge blind spot.
Huge blind spot, which of course she knows about because she lived there. And so, she plays it up. She plays it up, and then we see her slowly move out of that blind spot and just sit there and with this grin, I got you, I beat you.
Well, she says surprise, right? Which is just
She does, which we see that,
which is
several
also
times.
what tipped her off to make her believe that he was responsible for all that stuff, because surprise is a little theme that kind of pops up in the movie.
It does.
And it's something that she believes only Adrian says.
Yeah.
So this is that. And James seems to be cool with that. He knows what happens because she's carrying the second invisibility suit in her bag that she has just opened up.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, what does it seem like happened? And then James says, well, it seemed like he killed himself.
Took a little convincing. Not a lot, but a little.
I'm kind of surprised James went along with that, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
It seems that he wouldn't.
I think he, like I said, he had to be convinced a little bit. Excuse me. And so that's about as much as I kind of figured it would take with everything that transpired. I kind of figured he would probably be okay with it, but it would take a little bit of convincing. And I'm sure he probably felt a little guilty about it, but okay, so, but I mean, yeah, we get this, she's got, what is this, that duffel bag, the suit's in there, and we got, she kind of walks off and with what's the dog's name? Zeus, yeah.
Yep. So that
walks off with Zeus, and
it's a happy ending.
We have that that very kind of I don't know, what is this kind of eerie smile on her face?
It was not eerie in the slightest to me. It felt very hopeful.
Yeah,
because she's finally being freed from her cage.
I almost took it. I don't know, man. It was kind of split for me. Like I part of me was, like I said, it was a little eerie, and then I get what you're saying as well. It was like somewhere in between, and it almost had me questioning, like something like, huh?
No,
but you're probably right. I just probably was looking into it.
I believe Cecilia in this movie, and I'm glad she's out of this murderer's grasp in a way. There's enough within the film to make me believe her. So I do.
Oh, no, I absolutely believe her. I guess
I don't think Cecilia after this movie is going to be a murderer with a suit. I don't.
No. That's not what I meant. I don't know, man. Maybe I was just looking into the smile. Maybe I even fast forwarded through the credits to see if there was like a one of those,
Oh, you didn't get a post credit scene?
No,
I did. She was being asked to join the Avengers.
Shut up. Whatever.
No, I'm just kidding. There's no after credit scene, but I think it's hopeful. I think it's a bittersweet ending. She always had to commit murder. I feel sorry for that, but
it was necessary, though. She was never going to get out of that unless he was dead. He was going to torment her and haunt her forever and ever. And that's just a horrible feeling, especially someone you can't see.
Sure.
I mean, it's a horrible thing, right? I mean,
we know that through the rest of the movie that if she were to go away again, that he would find her again and torment her again. It's just going to happen. It's already happened.
And then how many other people get hurt or die in the process,
Yes.
As she makes more friends or whatever the hell it is,
It is a karmic ending that I'm okay with in this case. I usually don't like it when people kill other people as like vigilante justice type of thing, but it works here. It's fine. This guy deserved to die. And so, in so many words, I don't mind him being gone. This guy sucked. He killed Emily. That's
absolutely. I have no problem with him dying, and he got his just. I mean, dying that way is dying as a whole sucks, but getting your neck sliced, fuck that, man.
Yeah.
I've seen that too many times in horror movies. I don't like it.
Well, yeah,
it's a go-to. I guess there's only so many ways you can kill someone, but that particular type of way to go was a big deal in this one. I mean, it happened a few times. That knife came into play quite a bit, didn't it? I don't know if it's the same knife.
It's not the same knife.
Same knife? Oh, okay.
It's not the same knife.
Okay.
But it is a knife.
Yeah, very sharp,
It is an object that can cut things multiple times.
So I mean, it seemed like we both liked this. I mean, I thought this was a good movie.
Good movie, good performance, good everything. Watch this movie if you haven't, and you still are interested after this spoiler-filled review. It's good. It'll be worth the 2 hours you spend with it. And it didn't feel like 2 hours to me, which is a great thing to say about a movie that is 2 hours.
Yeah, no, it didn't. It was a good movie. I wasn't sure what to expect. When I first saw the trailer, I was like, oh, okay, another one of these. But no, they had a nice little cool spin on the story, and I enjoyed it.
I know I was kidding about the Avengers thing, but I would kind of be down for like a spin-off movie to this movie where Elizabeth Moss's character, Cecilia, just kind of kicks ass in like an invisibility suit. If you guys want to make that movie, come talk to me. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, that's funny. So, all right, man. Well, anything else? Did we miss anything? I think we hit on most of it.
Are we going to talk about everything every single time?
No, we're not.
Did we talk about all we wanted to talk about?
I guess let me rephrase that. Anything super important that was really, I don't know, that was really cool that we didn't touch on? I don't think so. I think we nailed everything.
Well, right after this movie, I made my very first latte with my new espresso machine, and it would turn out pretty good. So
yeah,
there's that.
Okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah. See, we almost missed that.
Yeah. See, there's like a very positive relationship that I have with this movie now. It was a good movie. First latte right after.
Yeah. What did I do right afterwards? I think I did yard work.
Well, that's whatever.
I think I cut some shrubs. So, not as same as yours.
There is like a nice sort of like solitude type happiness type privilege in just being able to do your own yard work.
It is.
You get to do your own yard work. That's great.
Yeah. And I like when I can trim it all up. I can do whatever I want. And when it's all done, I can take a look at it and go, you know what, I did that and it looks good. And I'm pleased,
Yeah.
And so, but all right. Well, I think that's it, right?
That is it.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening to today's episode. Join us next week as we will be talking about 1985's Fright Night, one of my favorite movies. I love this movie. Cool vampire movie. Make sure you tell your family, friends about the Ear for Fear podcast. Hell, you can even tell some random strangers if you like. Don't forget to follow us on both Instagram and Twitter at Ear for Fear. I think we're out there on Facebook as well. You can check us out on our website, earforfear.com. There you can keep up to date on news, events, and episodes. We're available on all the main platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc., etc. That's it for us. We hope you come back and get an earful. Talk to you soon. See you soon. Stay safe.